words can say to explain, how I feel. It's just the same kind of thing he said in the locker room. It's really, really tough to put it to words right now. We're going to have to pick ourselves up. We're going to have to move forward, and we're going to have to find a way to make sure we're better. November is for the time when you got to find out what you're made of, and that's not a good showing for what it is that we're made of.
Badgers football coach Luke Fickell brings us back. Drew and KB live from the Central Standard Distillery Timeout Sports Lounge. And what a treat. We get to welcome Matt Lepay to the program, the voice of the Badgers. Our conversation with Matt Lepay is brought to you by Ridgetop Exteriors, the epitome of expertise and reliability in home exterior solutions. Get started at ridgetopexteriors.com. Good evening, Matt.
Good evening.
I just got an email about the newest edition of the Larrivee and Lepay podcast, and you guys spoke to Dave Pasch, Madison native, and a guy who rose above being an intern for Mike Heller at one point in his career. What a story.
He did, and he actually briefly interned with me, very briefly. When he was on summer break, he read some sports updates during the, I don't even know if it was more than a couple of weeks. Like, oh, this guy's pretty good. Probably not a lot of insight I can pass along to this dude. But yeah, Surviving Heller. I think that immediately vaults you to stardom instantly.
That's coming out on Netflix.
Yeah, Surviving
Heller.
I like it.
You know what? I love the fact that we get to talk via, Zoom, StreamYard, all of that, because, looking at you in your cubbyhole there, I just get this feeling that you're in some sort of a CIA cubby trying to decode German communications.
Yeah. I've just noticed, by the way, daylight saving time is this turn back the clock thing, go away. It is the lighting in here is not ideal. I've normally not as noticeable when we're recording the Larrivee and Lepay podcast at 10 in.m. But yeah, this looks like a cheap. It is. It's a cheap video. It's exactly what it is.
There's always that site, Rate My Skype Room during COVID. They would do that
Rate
stuff.
My Room.
Yeah. It's like, it looks like you're making a hostage video.
Yeah, it does. It's exactly what it looks like. Yeah, definitely thumbs down to this.
So, Matt, we're neck deep in the world of NIL, and you're making the transition from football to basketball. There's crossover, obviously, but do you anticipate, how do you think the Wisconsin basketball team will be affected by NIL and transfers looking at this season?
Well, it adds to the challenge for sure. They lost a couple of significant players because of that. AJ Stork could get a better deal at Kansas, and Chucky Hepburn could get a better deal at Louisville, and Connor Essegian, maybe other factors there, maybe just a better chance to see the floor with more regularity. But that's the dilemma that a lot of these programs face right now, is that you've only got so much to offer, and there's only so much available to your sport. And then you have to determine, okay, player A is going to get this amount, player B this amount, and it's the Brewers. I just cannot help but make the comparison with not just Wisconsin, but college athletics. This is MLB. You just have to do the best you can with what you have. The Brewers have done remarkably well. I know it gets frustrating when they can't advance into the postseason, but they've been so consistent at getting in there, and they find diamonds in the rough. Maybe they get a little lucky with some players who are better, faster than people thought. That's kind of how the formula is for the Wisconsins of the world. And we were in Iowa over the weekend. I don't remember much of that game. I'm trying to erase the game. But, talk with the Iowa folks, and they have the same thing. You can only go to the same folks so many times to say, hey, we got this great point guard, or we got this edge rusher. Year after year, that's going to be a tough thing to pull off.
Do you think, and this is the other question I have, do you think there will be any impact on the NBA? And the reason I say that, not money, not financially, but as basketball fans, college basketball fans of our team, we were always able to follow someone from their freshman year through their senior, maybe junior year. Now you've got one and dones, you've got guys transferring from team to team. The average fan base is not going to be able to remember everyone. And by the time they get to the NBA, are they going to have any type of a reputation like they did? I don't see us hating Christian Laettner anymore.
I know the closest thing to that probably is Hunter Dickinson, formerly of Michigan, now
Right.
at Kansas, and that's probably more of a Wisconsin thing than most other schools. But I think KB, we're already seeing some effects. I mean, there was talk that the NBA draft last summer was one of the weaker ones in memory, where you were seeing that league draft internationally more and more, and if it's you get guys from the G League, and it's you're not seeing the American college player drafted with this at the same rate. They still are, of course. Marquette had a couple guys right last summer, but you're not seeing the frequency of it. You're seeing more of the international flavor, especially in those top 10, 12 picks. So you could argue that the college game in some respects has been watered down, and maybe the NBA game suffers in the long run because of it. No one questions the athleticism and how much better they are athletically now compared to back in our day of growing up and watching the league. But do they know how to play? And are you really developed? And I think that's one of the reasons why you see the international guys get drafted more and more.
How did you and Butchie handle the first couple of minutes last night when the Badgers hoops team was getting their mulligan out of the way for the season?
Oh yeah, it was Butchie, the former player. He was he got a little agitated. Yeah, we had Mike Kelly. Mike Kelly was at the game, the former Badger, part of the Final Four team in 2000. He was seated like 30 or 40 feet down the aisle to our left, and we're ready to say, "Get in there! You look game ready. Yeah, get in there, go guard somebody." They looked like a team that went through a long training camp, and you could get bored. We remember when basketball practices used to start October 15th, roll it back another 3 weeks. And that's how long and tedious this thing can be. And they came out that way, and they got it right between the eyes. So yeah, it was a little bit of a, I think I just saw this movie on a football field on Saturday, but to their credit, they fixed it and played much better the last 30 minutes.
Nice recovery there. And Butchie, though, few people get as excited about the opening of college basketball season than Brian Butch. He's incredible. I
love it. Yeah.
He's Buddy the Elf when it comes to the new season.
That's one of the tricks of the business. If you're calling the games, you have to act like there's, and hopefully it's legit. But if it isn't, you at least need to act that way, that there's no place you would rather be. And I think with Butchie, it's legit. I mean, he loves the game. I mean, you guys know what the camps that he has, and he just can't get enough of it. And the way he prepares, all the notes that he has of opponents that Wisconsin won't be facing anytime real soon, but he's getting together the rosters and all of that. So yeah, it's a lot of fun being with him.
Put an Iron Jock shirt on him, and the guy's in heaven.
Oh yeah, that's like, and then get a little Palermo pizza, little varsity ale. He's living.
Well, man, I got to tell you, while that is a fine pizza, it's no Pep's Draft House pizza, the only pizza we serve here.
Okay. Well played.
Well played. We're talking about Lepay, the voice of the Badgers here. You're going to have the next time. First of all, you got this bye week, which probably well-timed. Everybody says every bye week in sports is well-timed, but probably well-timed because you got it ready to play Oregon, which is a pretty good-looking outfit. And again, third straight game in front of that national audience on NBC.
Yeah, it's the Noah Eagle factor.
Yes.
We were actually, when these guys played Penn State, we had gotten the word from some of the NBC folks that you're going to be seeing a fair amount of us here for the next few weeks. And I think Noah's doing, the basketball team plays Arizona a week from Friday. That's a Peacock game, and I think he's going to be calling that too. So they have not the Penn State game. They showed pretty well under the circumstances. Saturday night, not so much, but there is that old joke that this perfect time for a bye week. I think for both the Green Bay Packers and the Wisconsin Badgers, this is a really good time for a bye week. And for Wisconsin, a big old look in a mirror, a long look in a mirror. What if you're those guys? What are you doing? How are you doing it? Who are you doing it with? You've only got 3 games left in the regular season, so I don't know how much you can dramatically change things. But it does give you a little more chance to look at what you're doing and how you're going about it.
And we try and talk Tim into giving us bye weeks, and it ain't flying.
Never flies. No.
Because it would be a perfect time for a bye week, wouldn't it?
Perfect time for a bye week, yeah.
The way the Badgers have struggled, Matt, I covered that the Brewers version of that in the 90s and into the 2000s, and I wonder at this point, like, okay, obviously there's a goal to get a win and get in a bowl game and it makes as much as you can out of what you have. But then at what point, or is there a point where you can say, let's start playing some younger guys, look and start thinking about development and that side of it? Because I used to see that all the time, especially when they expanded rosters in September. Remember the 40-man stuff? You'd see all those guys running around and you'd see 12 pitchers a night from each side. Can you do that in college football, or is it like, let's just win every game and keep everybody, keep the wolves at bay?
Yeah, in baseball, it's service time. You're watching the clock there, and I don't know. It's a really good question, Drew, because I don't know in today's environment how much preserving the red shirt means. But that said, you get 4 regular season games, and then if you played a postseason game, that's fine. But you get 4 regular season games to preserve your class rank. And they've got, like Mabry Batoyer, the quarterback's been in for a couple. Other guys have been in for 1 or 2 games. They got 3 games left. I don't know if it matters much at all in basketball anymore, but football, you kind of watch that. Last year, for instance, Tretch Kekahuna appeared in the last 4 regular season games. He was coming back from an injury. It took some time, but they kind of watched the clock, I think, with him a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see. It is, what they're doing right now is not working consistently. But that's the big question that I have. Does that really matter? If they think somebody's ready to go play, do you go ahead and play them? And if it turns out that you've been in 5 games, then you've been in 5 games. It's one of the fascinating components that not just Luke Fickell, but I think a lot of other coaches are looking at right now.
Yeah, there's just so many things that they didn't have to deal with in the past. It's just so much stuff that Grandma and Grandpa never had to worry about passwords, KB, and subscriptions and
oh, thank God.
Stuff like that. It's such a new era.
Yeah, I heard your conversation with Wayne. First, I'm jealous. He's going to Florida, so I'm immediately not pleased with him. But yeah, his opinion of technology and analytics are pretty similar to mine. Maybe that's why we get along so well. They're like, just can you play or not?
You know what?
Well, I changed the name from Larravie and Lepay to the Get Off My Lawn podcast.
It should be. It's like the old Muppet Show, the old dudes in the balcony.
Yes. Statler and Waldorf. Yes, let's go.
There's a lot to be said about gut feel, though.
True.
There really is.
And
you know what, man? I'm going to say this. You can have your analytics, but we old guys, we're crafty. And we'll get you somehow.
Absolutely. That's the thing. And Drew, you can speak to this a heck of a lot better than I can. But one of the fun parts of baseball, even when I would parachute in and fill in for BA, is that you talk to scouts, guys with a pulse, and not just rely on the dudes carrying the laptops down the steps. And it's just, we recorded a show with Greg Gard today, his first radio show of the year. And of course you look, basketball has it, football has it, and, baseball leads the world in it. And yes, you crunch the numbers, you look at stuff, but you also, does this guy die for a loose ball? Is this guy going to get himself in position to try to take a charge? All these other things that maybe isn't as measurable as
what are they like in warm-ups?
That's right.
Yeah. What are they like in warm-ups when they're going through the pregame? You learn that stuff.
My analytic is the TKD, which is this kid's due. That's it. It's this kid's due.
This kid is due. Mm-hmm. Matt Lepay, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
Have a great week, and we'll catch up with you next Tuesday.
All right. Greetings from the dark room. So long from the dark room.
Aaron Rodgers isn't the only one in the darkness. Our